Hello. My first memory of Eurovision was on the 19th of April 1980 when I suddenly spotted what I thought was my father representing Belgium in the Eurovision Song Contest. They do look quite similar, especially when he does this. Look. For a 2-year-old, and I am a bit face blind, but even today my father refuses to admit that it was him. Anyway, that song was called Eurovision, or as they pronounce it in Belgium. They came 17th out of 19, but well done, Daddy, thank you. In 2002, the year after this Eurovision Street Party, I started dating a soprano called Lucy, who kept videotapes of old Eurovision Song Contests. YouTube wasn't yet a thing, so when we ran out of videotapes to watch, we bought DVDs instead. Eurovision Belgrade 2008, classic. This is the 50th anniversary book of the Eurovision Song Contest. And I don't agree with everything that he says, but there's some amazing stats. And thank you for taking that picture of me holding that book up. That's, I'm not ashamed. In 2008, we even went to a Eurovision preview event, which was at the Scala in King's Cross. A variety of Eurovision acts were performing, including Bucks Fizz. You'll notice there's only 3 of them. The reasons why would take me all night to explain. But it involves this man. In later years, it became possible to find old Eurovision Song Contests on the internet, and so me and Lucy did just that, watching every Eurovision all the way from the beginning, in order, until we eventually ran out of Eurovisions and had to break up.
Well, hello, Richard and Rich Mix. I give your performance lecture 12 points.
12 points, 12 points. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lucy.
Thank you.
Thanks. Goodbye. See you soon. Bye. That was live. The daylight saving time in Scotland is different. I worried that my interest in Eurovision might not survive without Lucy, but actually it's gone from strength to strength since I found some new Eurovision buddies, Kate and Lisa. And last year, for instance, this happened. You joined me at the Altice Arena in Portugal. Just going into this corridor, we're like weird little alleyway, and then you go through here, and then you're in the Eurovision Song Contest. It's amazing! Following a particularly vivid dream, I formed a radical Bucks Fizz tribute act called Fucks Biz.
You're in for a treat. Please put your hands together for Bucks Biz.
Originally, this was intended as a one-off performance. We didn't think it would be popular, but we've since performed over 10 times around the UK. It seems to be much harder to find male performers to be in Fucks Biz. If there are any volunteers in the audience who'd like to... During a performance at the Hackney Showrooms, the newest member, Flora, forgot to pull my trousers down, so I had to make them fall down by themselves. This is magic, look at this. Look at that! How did that happen? It's a real skill. Perhaps our most high-profile gig was in 2015 when Fucks Biz appeared live on BBC4. Dance.
When the crowd say ball.
Director. We're live from TV Centre. Sam, I'll come and show them today's papers so that we know that we're live. And over the next 29 minutes, we'll be attempting to recreate some classic clips from the BBC archives in the exact locations where the originals took place, a process I call reduxing. We weren't allowed to show live penises on live BBC television. I've been working on a very ambitious fever dream of reduxing an entire Eurovision Song Contest. What year was Harrogate? 82. Thank you. That's yet to come to fruition and may never happen. But to get in practice, I've been visiting European capitals and singing Eurovision entries either from there or perform there.
I'm alone and left to say.
It's not the same without the music. Next time I hope to get inside the building And here are some excerpts from Helsinki, Stockholm and Rome.
Tippy tee, tippy 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 tee.
Just trying to have myself a time.
So I just don't care if you might.
DeDomenici, sir.
Respiro dei giorni miei d'amore.
Cleopatra. When my nights are cold and lonely. Okay! I'd rather be loved. Hey!
You'll be happy to know that I've posted full versions of all these videos, totaling over 35 minutes in duration, at DeDomenici.tumblr.com/Eurovision. I was very excited in February when Lisa managed to get us tickets for Eurovision You Decide at Media City in Salford. There's some Palestinian demonstrators and also some Israeli demonstrators.
We're calling on you.
I advocate that Palestine should be allowed into Eurovision. That's my answer to the problem. That's my solution to all the problems in the Middle East. Allowing Palestine into Eurovision, I think it would solve everything. As it happened, due to the additional security checks that they were doing on everyone, the BBC didn't have time to let everybody in. We've just been kicked out of the Eurovision line.
Nothing personal.
We don't think it was personal.
Bollocks to Brexit!
It's very exciting here today. We've got people giving out Brexit stickers. We've got people giving out EU flags. They weren't going to let us in with EU flags, which is quite funny. We're not going in tonight, so we're going to go and get involved in the protest instead. Yeah! I was putting a brave face on it, but that was the moment that I became quite disgruntled. One of my favourite Eurovision entries, as I've mentioned, is from the year 2000 by the Israeli band Ping Pong. Nevertheless, I have a tendency to side with the underdog, and having read up on the Israeli government's myriad breaches of international law on the United Nations website, it was with a very heavy heart that last week I decided, for the first time in over 20 years, not to watch the Eurovision Song Contest. I know, thank you for the audible gasp. Instead, I stayed at home and watched Global Vision instead. Do you know about Global Vision? It's new. It's the first time they've done it. There were loads of technical problems. But, you know, I consider that to be the wonkiness of progress. Meanwhile, there was another singing competition in Palestine called Gaza Vision. This is Yehad, who was the winner with his song Yatira Teri. Which I've taken the liberty of remixing slightly to appeal more to Eurovision sensibilities. You know when you get a feeling that you've just done your best work? So I think that could win Amsterdam in 2020. However, Palestine aren't allowed in Eurovision. And I think a lot of the problems in the Middle East would be solved if the European broadcasting would just let Palestine join. They've tried to attempt in the past. In 2007 they tried.
It's been announced that in 2008, Palestine will be seeking full participation for the first time in the world's most famous singing competition.
Music has been in the village, in the camp, in the city. It has been a way of expressing the Palestinians' joy and happiness.
And I tried to contact Fadia, who you saw speaking there, but her email account no longer works. However, I contacted their Danish collaborators who got back to me the other day and said that even though they'd made an official application to the EBU, they were denied on the grounds that Palestine was not recognised as a state. But that was in 2007, and in 2012, the United Nations upgraded Palestine to a non-member observer state, which is a kind of de facto recognition of their sovereignty. So I reckon, you know, maybe it's a good time to try again. So this is going to be my new project now, to try and get Palestine into Eurovision next year. I hope some of you will help me. I haven't had time to explain the Eurovision song about absentee fathers that I wrote with Bryony Kimmings in 2013. Every weekend I get to see my dad's talented body. Every weekend I get to feel my dad's It seems weird, but you know, the context of the first verse will make it much more. It's about bodybuilding. Anyway, look out for that. So we do have some Eurovision karaoke available. There's 8 songs. Here they are. Some of them are quite obscure. We're happy to start off with Hard Rock Hallelujah by Lordi. And then tomorrow night at the Scala, it's Euro Noise, which is a live music event modelled on Eurovision, but featuring a bizarre cast of DIY, alternative and underground sub-pop bands.
They're amazing.
Yeah, and here's a clip of one of the bands that's going to be performing tomorrow night, possibly without the revolving upside-down drummer.
Winnie Pig!
So, you know, that should be fun. I think we should all go to that. This is a graph that describes my theory about how England only wins when you have to sing in your host language. And I hope to take my fake torch to Tokyo next year as soon as I can figure out how to replicate this torch which they've just released. So if anyone's got any ideas. Finally, it's the European elections tomorrow. Here's a short election message.